Hey, it's Kyle here, and today I'll be reviewing Emperor of Rome by Mary Beard. This is a nonfiction book that kind of explores the first half of the history of the Roman Empire. I have read a book by Mary Beard before. It's one of my favorite nonfiction books I've read in recent years, and that is SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome. This book basically kind of explored the process that led the Roman Republic becoming the Roman Empire, and all the decisions that led to that, factors in how the Republic operated, outside influences, basically everything that kind of led the Republic to become an empire. It's a very fascinating book. I really enjoyed it a lot. So when I was at a bookstore and I didn't even know this book was coming out, I saw it and I was like, ooh, I really enjoyed SPQR. I want to read more from Mary Beard about the world of the Romans, and I'm really glad I did. I enjoyed this book a lot. I will say I do think I enjoyed SPQR more than this book, but that's not saying I did not enjoy this book. I did a lot. Just didn't quite enjoy it quite as much as I did the SPQR book. So in Emperor of Rome, Mary Beard kind of explores the first half of the history of the Roman Empire by examining the emperors who reigned during this period. And the reason she picks this period is from the first emperor she examines, Caesar Augustus, the first emperor, to the last emperor in this little time period, Alexander Severus, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Structurally, the empire didn't experience that many changes. So basically, she was arguing that a citizen of the empire under Caesar Augustus would have recognized, for the most part, the same system in place for Alexander Severus. But after Severus is assassinated, the empire undergoes dramatic changes, and you see really a wholesale series of changes to how the empire is structured, functions, happens for the second half. So the first half you kind of get a very interesting look at kind of, I guess you could say, the Roman Empire at its height. And she examines this in a very interesting way. Instead of like, normally if you'd have a book that like, all right, we're going to take a look at the emperors of Rome, it would be, one chapter after another, just the emperors in order. And she even talked about, when she was at the beginning of this book, why she decided not to structure it this way. She said, again, she felt like there weren't a whole lot of major changes. So if you were reading in the early chapters about Caesar Augustus and then you got to the later emperors in this list, the stuff would be so similar you would kind of lose track of which emperor she is talking about, and it would be harder to retain the information. It would maybe get a little boring. So instead, she examined several different topics or subject matters and kind of jumped around from emperor to emperor to kind of show how they had similar things going on during their reign. And she looks at everything from how the military operated to religion to interactions with the Senate and politics in general, but also smaller items that you typically maybe wouldn't find examined in books like this, like what type of food did the emperors eat? How did they pay for everything? What was their personal lives like? What was it like when they traveled? Just all this type of stuff. It's very fascinating. Really enjoyed it. She kind of these 20 or so emperors that reigned during this thing. She kind of takes a look at all of them, but she really focuses on about 5 or 7 to kind of really get the main picture. Because again, she had the feeling that if I go and devote equal time to all these emperors, it'll become a little bit overwhelming. So it was kind of interesting. She has very helpful charts at the beginning of the book. So as she's talking about emperors, if you lose track of which time period this specific emperor was ruling in, you can kind of go back and figure out like, oh, this person was 2 or 3 emperors after Caesar Augustus, or this one was towards the end before the empire began to experience lots of changes and stuff like that. So I'd say this book, I feel like, might be more appealing to a wider audience than SPQR. I felt like SPQR, you had to be really into history. I think if you were kind of not really that much into history and you read it, you'd feel like, oh, this is like a history textbook I would have read in school. This is boring. This is too much information. I don't like it. But if you were a history nerd, that book was amazing. I think if you're a history nerd, you'll still enjoy this book. But I think if you're a casual person who has interest in history, this is a book that maybe won't be as overwhelming to you as SPQR. She kind of definitely makes the emperors feel more like real life people, which a lot of times in history books they almost can feel like larger life figures, and it's hard to relate to them. But when you're reading about like the type of food they were eating and what their personal lives were like, and what was it like when they decided to travel and kind of do vacations and stuff like that, it makes it seem like more real people. And I think a person who's not a diehard history nerd is going to be able to connect with that more and find the book more interesting. I think the reason I enjoyed SPQR a little bit more than this book is I think I just found it more interesting to examine the concept of how the Roman Republic transitioned to the Roman Empire. Where this one was more of a big picture look at the first half of the Roman Empire's history, and I enjoyed it, but I think, for this period of history, I probably would have enjoyed a more detailed look at like Caesar Augustus's reign or something like that. But like still really enjoyed this. Like if SPQR is close to a 10, then this book is like an 8.5 or a 9. So still loved it, just not quite as much as SPQR. But I would say if you read SPQR and loved it, I think you'll enjoy this book. You definitely should check it out. It's a nice continuation of that exploration of the history of the Romans. So that is my review of Emperor of Rome by Mary Beard. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, hit that like button. If you have yet, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section below, what is your favorite book you've read about the Roman Republic or the Roman Empire? It could be fiction or nonfiction. Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time, and happy reading.